Hi, I'm Miss Murder, also known as Showy Moore, coming to you on the 8th of May, 2015. As you've noticed, there's something just a little bit different. I'm going without my headset. I've decided to try new things with my little camera since it does have an excellent microphone in itself. Just my voice is not so great, but it is healing, so I decided why not. I'm going to be going through quite a few changes. As you've noticed, there's way too much going on in the background. We will try to fix that. We meaning I. Today, I'm just going to focus on a couple of movies, and the first one I've picked is from my top 10 read movies on my blog. And by that, if you look on the first page of my blog and on the right, there's a column, and it will list the top 10 movies, and it doesn't mean they're the best. It means that they're the ones that have been the most read. One of them isn't even a movie. It's just a story about a practice they had in the 1800s. Um, on that list, though, you will find this, the original Evil Dead. Now, I don't usually buy collector's editions. If I did, I would be one broke little movie reviewer. If you can, and if you are into horror, there are so many places where you can get package deals and movies on the cheap that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on. And I'm talking about places like Walmart. But my favorite place is Amazon simply because they're very good about returns. And some of these that have multiple movies on them don't like to place so hot unless you've got a really good DVD system. So if you go through Amazon, they have a very, very good return system. But for Evil Dead, this is one of my favorites. It was called a Video Nasty in its day. We're talking 70s now. Video Nasty basically was a list of banned videos in the world, not in the US, in the world. And if you tried to show those movies, you could end up in jail. Of course, we have people today that do things like try to show ABCs of Death in their classroom and wonder why they got fired. Um, I'm not even going to go into that. Evil Dead, starring one of my favorite actors, Bruce Campbell, as Ashley actually, a guy with a girl's name who still is more macho than you. All right, this Evil Dead is the original. It came out in the late 70s. This was a brainchild of Sam Raimi, who was a college student. He got together some other college students. Bruce Campbell kind of was burned down on college and he wanted to do something different, but he wasn't quite sure what. So he was a friend of Sam's and they went, let's make a movie. Now, movies cost, okay? But even though we had, and we're talking Sam, very, very little work. I remember my Spectrum from almost no money to so much money you don't know what to do with it. Okay, Sam kind of had this much money and it goes clear out of the screen view because he had nothing. Anything he had, he borrowed, he asked, he got his friends and family together. He anything he could do because he had a vision. And Sam Raimi, even as a smart-ass kid, was one smart kid. He came up with so many original ideas, and I'm not just talking in story, okay? Evil Dead about the Necronomicon that borrows from a certain Lovecraftian type theme. That's okay though. He thought of things like different camera angles, different camera shots, torturing your stars to get a great performance out of them. You'd have to ask Bruce Campbell about that one. And that was what was so great about this, is that you had commentary on what they actually went through to get this movie done. This movie was not an easy movie. It was early. They didn't have money, but it was not easy. I mean, the effects in it are, for the time, pretty freaking sweet. And of course, you have Ash. Now, some people say, well, I don't understand. You know, I've seen Evil Dead 2, and it seems like Evil Dead 1. Sam Raimi, I believe, also created the first reboot. He had a little bit more money then. He still had Bruce, bless his heart. And he had the success, which he never counted on, really, of Evil Dead. I mean, when he was cleared to another country to appear before court because of his video nasty, that just shocked the heck out of him. And the fact that he walked into court and they looked at it and they went, and he walked right back out and had to fly back to the U.S. is kind of funny. But classic, very classic, very cheesy Ed spots, extremely creative in the rest. And if everybody started off like this, and people like the Soska sisters, just for a start, there are others that, because I'm doing this unscripted, I don't have their names on the brain. My brain doesn't keep stuff like that. Today we're talking about, or right now we're talking about Evil Dead anyway. So yes, Evil Dead 2 is not strictly a sequel. It's more like a reboot. It's Sam taking his original ideas with a little bit more money and still a whole hell of a lot of original type camera shots and effects and everything, and making a great movie. I mean, I have seen Evil Dead 2 so many times that I could probably quote it. Now, Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness. I really don't know what to say about that. Anybody who's seen Evil Dead has seen all of them. Army of Darkness kind of went all over the place. It was like, okay, we've made a movie that will never, ever be equaled. It can't be. For the money, for the time it took, the great talent they had. I mean, the original people who played these characters are still super, super popular in Comic-Cons all over the country. Number 3. So we have Army of Darkness. Well, in number 2, they did send Ash clear back into the past to fight the evil that he admits in number 2 he didn't do such a good job about. Excuse me. So what about the future? Well, for years, and I'm talking years, because I followed this because Evil Dead is part of my top 10 list. For years, they talked about doing Evil Dead 4, which would be a sequel to Army of Darkness. Years. I mean, hello, this was made in the late 70s, which meant the other movies were made later and later. And here we are, 2015, no movie. Now you have to forgive Sam for that. He's been kind of busy. In fact, he's been very busy making horror that has been excellent, and some maybe not so excellent. That's only my opinion. Everybody loves him. And if you ever see a movie by Sam Raimi, look for that 73 Olds Delta 88, because it appears, I think, in just about every movie he's ever done. It was his father's. His father bought it brand new. It made its first appearance in this Evil Dead. you know, it's a boat of a car, but I just love it. And it's sort of like Sam Raimi's thumbprint, if you know what I mean. It's a Sam Raimi if it's got a 73 old Delta 88 in it. So, anyway, sequel. To wrap this up, finally we get word, and it so far is solid. Now, the movies were made by, and I mean company-wise, they were produced by New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema owns Starz. That, if you don't know, is a movie channel that you can get, I think, either through a cable subscription or satellite. Now, since they own Starz, when Sam and Bruce finally decided, okay, we're going to do a mini-series, Ash Against the Armies of Darkness. Let me doubly check on that. No. See? Miss Murder can be wrong. Miss Murder does apologize. It is Ash versus the Evil Dead. That makes more sense, though, doesn't it? Ash versus the Evil Dead stars owned by New Line Cinema, who produced the series, so they get the goodies. Starting in, well, they announced it in 2014. They were supposed to start production this year. Just keep your eyes open. If you see it, get it. I'm considering on a temporary subscription to Starz myself, just for that series. And keep watching movies, keep enjoying movies, and I'll talk to you again. Thank you.